What have you got to show us today, Rick?
Not a lot really.
No?
Just have a chat in video. No, more McLaren stuff.
Good stuff.
So we've had some stuff made, which we'll show you, and then some differences in the engines, and then I've got an 840 and an 838 block. So we'll have a look. They look pretty similar, but they are similar. So we go through some bits. Our new torque plates have arrived, our stud kits have arrived, rods, pistons, a box of shims.
You've been a busy man.
Getting there, mate. Getting there. Spend all my money on stuff that sits on shelves. Living a dream.
Cool, let's get into it then, bud.
Don't even ask me about the Dodson thing I agreed to last night. So, yeah. So, I suppose the first thing is a point of failure on the early ones are these. Look, I even written it down, DLC, non-DLC. So,
organised.
That is the rocker stanchions, or the rocker stands that go in the heads. I should have asked people to guess which is which, but my cheat sheet gives it away. Could have done like a competition giveaway.
Yeah.
Win a McLaren cam rocker stand. There you go. We could have given one away. So the early ones were non-DLC, which were these. So DLC is diamond-like carbon, and it's a coating. It's a very thin coating, and it's called diamond-like because of how hard it is. Now I've got to remember this right now. So it's tetragon. So the atoms inside it are tetragon shape, which makes it super hard. But it's got a high lubricity.
That's the one.
Like graphite. Sound like a complete whatever. Stupid words. So it makes them slippery and what in it. That is basically what it means.
In layman's terms, yeah.
Yeah. So what used to happen with these was the cams were uncoated. These were uncoated. Oil levels or oil quality would degrade, and then your friction point between the rocker and the cam meant they'd eat each other. The other thing that used to happen as well is inside this, both of these rockers on both sides sat in a shaft. And what used to happen is the rocker grabs hold of the shaft. So at the minute, if you look, I don't know if you can see the shaft isn't turning. So in the middle, the rocker's moving, but the shaft isn't, which shouldn't be. Yeah, it isn't. And what happens is, on some of them, these grab hold of the shaft and turn the shaft in the stand. And then you'll get them and they'll eat their way. The shaft will eat its way that way in the shaft. So you could grab hold of the rocker and literally go click, 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 click. So they eat each other. So that was the early ones. Junk. Now we've got bad boys. So these are DLC coated, diamond-like carbon coated. So you can see they look a bit darker. You see this quite a bit on things like, what else should you see? It's really common in motorbikes. It's really common in engine stuff in motorbikes because of the RPM. But for example, if you go and look at, say, 2000, it sticks out of my head, 2008 GSX R1000, the gas forks, the bottom of the fork stanchion was black. So the slider up inside the leg was black, and it was because it was DLC coated. Technical issues again. Common thread. We should do that as a sweepstake. Guess the minute that something breaks. So, yeah, it'll be alright. So, non-DLC, crap, throw them away. DLC. So, just because I can't remember what I just said to the camera before it had a wobbly, DLC is diamond-like carbon. It's from a certain type of, or a certain family of super thin coatings that have the properties of being very hard, like diamond. The atoms are a tetragon shape. I'll read it off Wikipedia. But the lubricity of graphite, so it's slippery and what. The best thing to sort of think about is if you think of motorbikes, where it's really common, you see it on fork legs a lot, where they go up inside the stanchion, so the slider, and you get that to stop stiction on the fork seal. Suzuki used DLC on fork legs for a while. Öhlins used like a gold coloured version. So yeah, it works well in areas where there's high abrasion, so not like high impact but high abrasion, so you've constantly got a cam running on this, and as the oil quality degrades or temperature increases and the oil starts to fracture, the cam just eats this, whereas this is far more resistant to it. The advantages as well on these ones are they're less likely to grab hold of the rocker pin and grab hold of it. And again, I can't remember if in the earlier bit I said about it on those, but the rocker pin, they grab the rocker pin and wind it into the stand, the rocker stand. So that's a big difference. So a lot of the later stuff has this. Yeah, really common in motorsport. It is a good coating inside engines on, like I said, abrasion parts. So rockers, tappets, you know, stuff like this. So when you've got a bucket, so that's constantly in a head, traveling up and down with no forced oil pressure. It's just they're splash fed, same as these splash fed. There's no oil pressure. There is oil galleries to feed the rocker arms or the rocker posts they sit on, but nothing to. It's all splash fed off the cam. So yeah, that's a nice little difference between the two. You can tell pretty quick, like this head here has got DLCs in, so you can see, but obviously the cam is uncoated, so you've got DLC arms in that, so a lot of the later stuff's got it, but it's nice to know that on the earlier ones it is a problem, because what happens is then they can break and they fire off through the side of the head, so something to look out for on the early cars. But we've got a couple of sets of those, and we're working with a coating company to try and retrofit it, because it can be done. It's just a case of getting the rocker pins out. Yeah. Service items, boxes and boxes of shims to do valve clearances. So they don't have hydraulic tappets. They have a bucket and shim arrangement. Oh, I'll put it away now. I'll get it back out. Bloody hell. So, in the base of that you can see. So, the valve comes through the head, the spring drops down over the top, like so. Then you would have the retainer and the keepers, and then over the top of the valve you get a shim, and then your bucket would drop down like that. So you set your valve clearance with this little chap. So that's an 11. What the hell does 11 mean, Davey?
You can turn it up to 11.
Yeah. Does it mean one more than like...
It's one more
you
than
watch
10.
now, because I haven't checked. It's not going to fit in my mic. So I need to buy a special McLaren shim mic, because it won't fit in a bloody hole. There you go. Something else I got to buy. But as you can see there, we've got everything from 5 to 44. No idea what they mean. Sizes.
You've got it.
I just don't know what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So we've sort of invested in having those so we can service heads properly. You don't just smash them back together and you know assume that the shims you take out are the shims you put back in. So Nissan GTRs are the same. They have shims, or they have shimmed buckets. So whereas the Audi stuff and the Lambo stuff, it's hydraulic tappets to take your lash out. So much easier to deal with, fire and forget really. So box full of shims. Cool. You watch now, they're like, you know, silly money each. So finally got my hands on valve train. So it's not quite a beehive, I think it's conical. I'm sure they call it conical. But it's not a parallel spring. Pretty impressive numbers out of the box for what they are. I'm not going to tell anybody, but yeah, they're good numbers. For good, and what I mean by that is when I go to installed height and when I go to valve sweep, as the valve moves through its stroke by the cam, what the pressure is on these. So seat pressure, coil bind, that sort of thing. again, a pretty basic valve, nothing fancy. They're not even coated like some of the SuperTech stuff we use in the R8s and stuff. So again, we're working on having a supply of these. What I would say, funny enough though, single keeper. So that's not normal in a road car. You would normally find triple groove like that. It's more stable, removes the load out of the one groove, and spreads it across three. And how the keepers and retainers work as well, it promotes the valve to turn in the head to stop valve build, to stop contamination building up on the building up in a seat. So it's interesting that they've gone to one groove on these, which is what we do on our builds anyway. It's not a bad thing, but they've kind of taken that step to do that. But yeah, it's not a fancy valve, it's just you can't bloody get them. So, but we have valve train, so we'll get our sort of partners to come up with our own solution for that, so we can supply it. Because this is the problem. Yeah, I've managed to get stuff, OE stuff like that, but it's not exhaustive, you know, so we will run out, so we need to reverse engineer stuff and figure out how to get it. Your arm out, mate?
It's all good, mate. How's your arm?
Yeah, it's all right. Just wait till it's cold.
There's the scar.
Yeah, it's metal though. Rode bike for the other week first time, and there was one particular corner where I could feel my arm buzzing. Like I was at this harmonic point in the rev range, and I could just like, what is that tingling in my arm?
In tune with the bike.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's all good. Pistons. Our pistons, OE pistons. They're not bad. They're not bad at all. They're more like a sort of a cast assembly, but they have got, I don't know whether you can see under the primary ring and the top ring, they've got this cast in land to support the top ring. So yeah, not bad at all. We know who makes these, so they're good, they do a job. Slight sort of concave dish on the top. They're not DI, so it's you could, I don't know why they haven't gone flat top, why they've done this to push up on a squish on the head, on the underside of the head. So that's why they've stepped it up. But I don't know why they've sort of, it's nothing. I don't know whether you can even see it. I don't know whether it even shows, mate, what that sort of dome is.
It might show up. We'll have to have a look.
It's not much of a dome. So
It's there.
yeah, it's a little bit. It's not huge amounts. Now I've got to mop water up. People can go, oh, you put water on a piston. So yes, we've had our own one done. They fit standard bores, stock bores. So what you will notice on this one is there's friction coating on the side, or an anti-friction coating on the side. So you've got to be careful you don't sort of damage that when you're working with a piston or you scratch it. Obviously these have got rings already in them. We've gone for a thicker top ring because ultimately if we're gonna use these, we're gonna push more power. So we've gone for an improved ring pack to help support the power needs. Still 3 rings. So we've got oil control ring, second ring, top ring. Yeah, it's not a bad little unit. We've got quite a few sets of these. They got oil drain backs as well, so it can support the, like as it comes off the oil control ring, it can drain back into the underside. So they're drain backs at a control ring, and then if you look at ours, how many more we've got, so we go all the way around to help try and stop the oil spray onto the cylinder walls overwhelming the control ring. But also the clever thing with these ones is, sorry mate, let me Where's my oil jug? We do this little trick. So, if you watch the pin bores, you watch now, my oil's going to be too thick to work. Motul 300V. There you go. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So, 2 oil control holes on each side feed the pin bore. So your wrist pin is then lubricated, so you don't have any issues there. So that's a nice little touch. And then there's 1, 2, 3, then 4 each side. Then drain off, 1 this side, 1 here, 2 on the underside. They drain back that way. So yeah, it's little bits and pieces like that. Again, pins. Yeah, that is a bigger diameter pin. Sorry, it's a thicker wall pin than this one. They're the same diameter, but that's a tool steel pin. So that is considerably stronger than this. I mean, you can even tell it's polished on the sides, but the material difference is huge. They're the same weight. I mean, that's much bigger, but that's better quality and what we would call a tool steel pin. So that's an uprated pin. But yeah, that'll drop straight in. OE liner. We've got aftermarket ones as well. But essentially, that is it. So liners drop straight in with the O-rings in the block. I don't know whether you can see, you've got little flats in the sides. So when you're here, for example, this probably highlights it better, to be fair. You can see the flats would line up with the next cylinder. So if I turn it that way, look, you can see it's only subtle. But then you just need to have almost like a square in jig that when you press these in, you press them in straight, because once they're in, you ain't moving them. So, and then with that then we've just had torque plates made. So we've probably shown you our V10 ones, but to help any machining work, we've had pressures on that, make it fit. So now when we push liners in, we can then make sure they're seated correctly and then stress the block to home. So it even says MCL on it.
Who'd have thought, eh?
But yeah, we need to think up, what does MCL stand for? But yeah, so finally they're done. They're back. May cost a load of money. So yeah, they fit both because I've tested. Rods. So everyone knows we use sort of Corilla rods. That's a stock rod, and that is our rod. So, for example, on the top, look, we do drip feed, pin oiling, or small end oiling. But on this one, look, they try to capture oil that comes down between the top of the piston and runs down onto the bore, and then they try to capture it in these galleries. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because McLaren don't struggle with small end issues, but that's our solution. So that's what we do. This is what you would call an I-beam rod, and it's got a trapezoidal end, so it's got a cut end. So obviously you can't use our rods in stock pistons, but you kind of wouldn't anyway. We can have our ends done to match that, but I try to retain as much strength in the small end as I can, because the most stress a rod normally goes through is at the top of the exhaust stroke, because you're throwing the piston out or throwing the piston up and it's unloaded. There's no compression there to slow the piston down as it gets to the top of the stroke. So if you ever do a rod, if you ever pull a rod bolt or damage a small end, it's always on the exhaust stroke. That's where the most stress is on the rod's trying to stretch apart, because ultimately unless you're running silly torque, the force, the compressive force that a rod is under is in that direction. The journal of the crank against the piston pushing the bore down, pushing on the small end. So that's where your strength is. That's why we then go to a H beam. But you never normally see that's torque management that causes those issues. You never normally see a rod failure there unless you're silly. You'd always normally see a rod failure because of rod bolts not up to spec, or this area the rod's too weak, and you pull it apart. So we go for Carilla bolts, uprated bolts that we use on all our builds. Nothing we spec has got anything under Carilla bolts and tool steel pins. What's the point? We just go baller on each sort of build. Yeah, cracked rods. So they cast them in one, they machine them to journal size, then they break it. They literally put it in a vise and hit it. So when you take the rod apart, I think they're tight. I don't think I'll get them undone. When you take a rod apart, it's a serrated edge that's caused by the materials breaking. I won't get these undone. So that's how they locate. Whereas on these, they locate by dowels. So you can mix the caps up on these, but you can't on these. These bolts are one-time use. You throw them away, use them once, throw them away. Doesn't matter. That's it. Whereas these, we use a stretch gauge, which I think we've gone through before.
Yeah, we've done that.
So you would use. You would use this little contraption to work out rod stretch. So we then use a little spanner that goes on our torque wrench over the bolt, and then we torque so the bolts have max permissible torque, and then we would stretch it without breaking that torque. Whereas these, you just follow manufacturer manual to, for instance, 60 newton meters plus 90 degrees. You just take the bolt to whatever the manufacturer yield is. But they are one-time use, whereas the Carilla bolts, you can reuse them. We tend, if I was, say, doing a build in the engine room and it was for dry building, we would. Once it's been run, I still wouldn't take the risk. I'd throw them away. A little break.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else? I think the last little bit is just our stud kits, which I'll get out now. But we've got uprated studs now, so they use a 2-bolt big end. So they've got a row of big uns and a row of little ones. So we've got those. You have to use a sealing washer. So we use a sealing washer and then the torque washer, and then obviously the nuts on top. So we have a stud kit to fit the McLaren. Same then for the heads. So we've got head studs as well. So that's what they're for. So again, they're finally designed, signed off. You know, I've got one batch in stock ready to go, but that's what they're for. So we've had those made.
So with this, excuse me, there's a lot of this is uncharted territory, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
You're working through this. It's not like you can go and get this stuff off the shelf in any way. You are getting this engineered.
Yeah, that's it. So obviously the torque plates we had designed and made. The pistons, we knew what we wanted, and we worked with Carilla, who do all our V10 platform stuff. So we had stuff done there. But valve train, I had no idea. Didn't know whether it was when we first started, 6mm stem, 7mm stem, triple groove, single groove. Were they, in-canal valves? Were they sodium filled? Were they coated? Were they blah, 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 blah. So you need to get hold of stuff to figure out the geometry for one, whether the materials are up to task for two, whether anybody wants to make it. I know who makes their valve train, and you ring them and you go, "Hi, can I buy some McLaren valve train, please?" And they're like, "Who?" Because they're NDA'd up to their eyeballs. These guys aren't going to make a product for me and make 2, 3, 4 sets when they're making how many cars did McLaren sell last year? Because, yeah, Ricciardo did start the engine program and Capricorn did some of the engine program, but they still buy their parts in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Capricorn make the pistons and the liners and the rods, you know, stuff like that. But components still come from other areas. Like we had this before, didn't we? The alternator, who that's made by. The coupling. Didn't we see it? Didn't have a VW number on it.
I think so.
You know, so the alternator is a Touareg part. So yeah, they obviously are pretty smart and they use certain bits from certain ways. The cranks we've had copied and we've had designed. So we've got a 4 litre crank and a 3.8. I want to make a 4 litre stroker kit, so you can bring your 3.8 to me and we can do a stroker kit. So the last little bit of the hurdle is to finish off a valve train. Cams are going to be the biggest problem. Not saying that the cam timing is bad, but the cam quality is not great, so I'd rather probably just go and get some billets made. So we're working on that. We've got liners sorted, gaskets and O-rings, that's the last bit. Then there's some special seals, you know, base kit seals and stuff like that, so shaped crankcase seals, and you know that you can't get because McLaren don't want you stripping these engines. So you know, they're sealing washers we were talking about that go into the mains. So we can get bits, we just don't have an exhaustive supply. So yeah, it will. The next step now is to finish off getting the last bits of the valve geometry and probably try and get a rotating bottom end together. Now we've got this block, I'll probably use that, but that's an 840, and if I spin it around, Davey's arms are hurting.
Yeah, I'm getting hot as well.
Is your camera getting hot?
Yeah.
Is it? You tell me what differences are, because I can't bloody see them.
so yeah, there's that one.
Alright, this one's got liners in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a cool little project. It's a cool little program. We've got engine mounting plates being made at the minute, so we can mount them to our engine stands, because I've got a new engine stand, but I don't like those 4 adjustable arms, because that's the split line. So you split the engine in half here along the crank line, so I need to support just one half of the engine, so this half. So we're making a mounting plate to go off the front. And what I didn't like about when I was doing it with the V10s, because we're having a plate made for that as well, was it was awkward to get in on certain things. So yeah, we've had that sort of done, and that's coming on. But it seems slow going, stuff's moving forward, but it just takes time. I don't think I've ever really shown you the inside. So you can see there, look. So obviously cases are glued together like the V10s, but it's a single piece girdle, so the bottom crankcase locates off the dowels to be the bottom. It doesn't have caps basically, like say a Daza, an RS3 engine does. But then you can see you've got a square O-ring here, and you've got a round O-ring here, but they're not O-rings, they're shaped seals. So we need to make sure we have the right parts to go in here, because the only reason you found out you've got this wrong is when you fire the motor up and it leaks. So stuff like that. Piston squirter jets sit in the bottom. You can see your O-ring grooves here, look. So 1, 2, so they double up, so you've got 2. So as you push the liner down past, it comes over 2 O-rings, and then that stops the water jacket, which is this, the cast part you can see, interfering with the oil. So if I get another liner out, maybe in a minute. And now if you look in that way, look, you can see the water jacket. So obviously that fell in because I had no O-rings in. But yeah, so it's nice. It is a nice block. Obviously, timing chain area. Then you've got compound gear on the front, which is this little bad boy. So that obviously mounts to the front of the crank. So then you've got your 2 timing chains and then your gear for your accessories. Oh, you're on. Is it recovered, mate?
It has. I don't know if I have.
Like a 40-year-old on a piss up your camera.
Camera's going out the window in a minute. If anybody wants to buy a Sony A7 Mark III, drop us a message in the comments.
Yeah, in the comments below. Make offers.
Gets a bit hot now and again.
Mate, he does artwork.
Never raced or rallied.
This isn't the one you drove over at Coombe?
No, that was a different one.
That's a different one.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, you didn't drive over it, did you?
No, it was somebody in a mini race car.
Who drove over your camera?
Yes.
Don't move, mate. My camera's there. So.
It was only a £3,000 lens. Right.
Dearer than the Mini.
Yes. So,
is that everything? Have we done everything?
I think
is everyone
so.
Happy?
Yep.
Let us know if don't let us know if you're not happy. I get enough crap on comments. Literally cry myself to sleep at night. So, yeah, hopefully that catches you up a little bit more on where we are with our McLaren stuff. The big hurdle was, of course, I was planning to buy one, but I didn't. I bought something else. So, not slowed it down, but probably my focus has been split to getting everything sorted for the R8. But that's through the winter now. We'll get the R8 sorted and we'll carry on. When I start putting the bottom end together on this, obviously there's more videos for that. What I don't want to do is go rushing into it and then afterwards think, crap, I should have done this, or we need to do that. When I build it, I just want to build it. I don't want it to be sat there half built for weeks because we're missing an O-ring or a bolt, or we've forgotten something. So we just do our homework now, do our due diligence now, document everything, build relationships with everyone who's making our stuff, and then we can go to the next level. So yeah, it was the whole point of this project is to be able to have a car come in damaged, not running, a problem that you can't get parts for. You just got billed for 65 grand for a new engine, and we can go, yep, we can sort that. So what they've bought, I got another 4-cylinder heads, manifolds, 2 inlet manifolds, 6 exhaust manifolds, another 8 turbos, ancillaries, more pistons, 2 sets of rods, more rockers. Well, I've got a complete valve train, which I didn't have before, different cams, another block, 2 blocks. These aren't out of customers' cars. There's not a car sat in a workshop that's been sat there and people haven't got a clue what they're doing. I bought these chunks of metal. So this is what I want. I want people to see the investment we're making, and then they can go, well, there it goes to go to. So yeah, other than that, I think that is about it.
Good stuff.
So thanks for stopping by, New York. Stay classy.
Don't forget to
no, hang on, I always get it. Yeah, be cringe for my lads now. Jack, Callum, if you're watching, you can turn off. Like, comment and subscribe, because that's cringe. But yeah, drop the pin.
nice one. Cheers, buddy.
See you later, everyone.
See you next time.
Bye.